Hello everyone, this is Shannon from That's So Po, and today I am doing week 50 of my 2019 reads. I read 3 books this week, all of which I really enjoyed. First, I'll talk about the only book that I read purely on my own, which was Sleepless, Volume 1 by Sarah Vaughn, Leila Luca et al. And this is a graphic novel. I'd heard about this from a couple of different people, but most recently, Ashley at Don't Have a Degree in Reading, who I will link below, mentioned this, and it made me just want to pick it up. Apparently, I'm in the mood for graphic novels right now. And I was able to just get it really easily on my phone through my library. So I read this and I thought that the artwork was so fantastic. It's really stunning, actually. The artwork is stunning not only in how beautiful the style is and how gorgeous the lines are, but especially in the costuming. I loved the historical dress in this. It was so amazing. It's like maybe a Renaissance style, very, very beautiful, and just not a style that I think I see too often, with very much kind of like the puffy, high-waisted skirts and things like that. So I really enjoyed the artwork in this. The magic system is also very, very interesting in this world. Each country has its own type of magic system. So one country is able to read the future in the stars. Another country uses time as magic. And one of the main characters is a knight who has basically made a vow to be sleepless, and therefore always watch over a princess, Poppy. And so it's just really interesting the way the magic system works in this. The storyline itself is a bit more of a drama. It's kind of a political intrigue where the princess Poppy is in danger. Her father was the previous king who had died. There is a new king, her uncle, and there's a lot of political intrigue in court, and her life is in danger. So political intrigue is only so-so for me, but overall I thought that this was definitely a really solid graphic novel, and I plan to read the second one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I'll talk about a buddy read that I finished this week, which was My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier. And this is a buddy read that I did with Maija from Maurier Reads, who I will link below. I have never read any du Maurier, even though I've been very interested in doing so, but I have seen the movie version of My Cousin Rachel with Rachel Weisz as the main character. Oh, it was so good. I really liked that movie, and I think that it was a pretty good adaptation of the book. Definitely there are some differences, especially towards the end, but a lot of the feel, the sort of gothic mystery thriller, is really much both in the movie and the book, so I highly recommend both. And this was such a great book to read with Maija. She'd never read or seen the movie, and so it was new for her, and it was interesting just kind of theorizing about what was going on. There's a lot of uncertainty in this book. You've got a bit of a tension between Rachel, who is this cousin from Italy who comes to England, and Philip, who is this kind of young lord of the manor, and their interactions, and you don't really know whose perspective to believe. The whole story is told from Philip's perspective, so it's a really fun book. There are definitely, some aspects that are a little soap opera-y, and there are also a couple of things that, even though I think this was written maybe in like the 40s or 50s, there's definitely some things in here that I think are problematic in terms, this is something that happens in older books a lot, but definitely some random little remarks here and there that are quite racist. So that wasn't, it's like, it wasn't even needed. It was just so irrelevant and not very pleasant to read. So overall, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I am interested in picking up other books by du Maurier. I'd love to read Rebecca and maybe Jamaica in. And lastly, I read a book club book, which was The Deep by Rivers Solomon and the Band Clipping. This is a novella that is about sort of this fantastical, mythical version of reality where the pregnant women who were taken from Africa as slaves during the slave trade and thrown overboard had their babies in the water, and those babies became sort of mer people, and formed a community vastly under the ocean, in the deep, deep part of the ocean. And it's a really interesting story that goes along with this idea of, how do you explore some of the very traumatic, difficult parts of history through science fiction and fantasy. This book especially focuses on the idea of generational trauma and both the burden and the importance of remembering one's history and one's community's history, as well as sort of who should have that burden. Should it be on the individual or should it be on the community as a whole? And so in this story, there is a historian, Yetsu, and she has all of the memories of her people and the past, and the other mer people do not remember, because it's too traumatic, it's too much. And so they live kind of this idyllic life while Yetsu deals with all of these traumatic memories and all of that weight of the history. And so it's a lot of discussion of really these deeper themes while in a fantasy setting, and dealing with Yetsu's kind of personal journey as to what she needs to do for her own personal health versus her responsibility to her community. So this is a really, really, really good book if you want to think about themes, if you want to explore some interesting topics. Very good for discussion. So this is a book that I read as part of the SOULar powered slow reading group that Njeri at ONYX Pages, who I will link below, runs. And I'll also link the Goodreads page to this below, although I think the Facebook page is more active for getting information about when things are held. And it's just like an online chat that we had this past weekend, and talked about all of these themes. And I think that being able to talk about this book with somebody else is a really good way to go, because there are a lot of deep themes and a lot of interesting things to explore. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. Clearly, River Solomon just is one of my favorite writers. I loved An Unkindness of Ghosts so much, and I loved The Deep so much. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So that wraps up week 50 for me. We are nearing the end of the year, so I hope everybody is having a good time, getting ready for some vacation, and just kind of enjoying the season of finishing up all of your books before the end of the year. I will see what gets done in the next 2 weeks.